Hey guys, it's Jim here, and since I started this channel in November of last year, I have since played more lower end or cheaper guitars than I probably had, in a few years prior to that. And a lot of people seem to be kind of into it and they respect my opinion, so to speak. And this is a guitar that a few people on separate videos at separate times have asked me to take a look at. Now before I unbox this, I want to stress this just one time. I've never been paid for any of these. I've never gotten any of this stuff for free. Anything you've ever seen on this channel, maybe I've gotten a deal on it because I've, negotiated, but had nothing to do with this. All of this is straight out of my own pocket. So, now that I'm clear with that, I'm gonna have a look at something you can get off Amazon right now, as soon as you're watching this, for $120 shipped to your door. Alright, before we get to the guitar, there's some stuff that comes with it. I'm just gonna show you what you get. You get a cable. It's got, 4 or 5 picks in it. You get a strap. Looks really cheap, but hey, it's a strap. And it looks like a folded up gig bag. Yeah, that's what that is. So, but inside we have. Alright, let's take a closer look. So this is a Grote Telecaster with a nice purple finish on it. Alright, let's focus on the body and the electronics right now. When I go to the switch, feels okay. It feels about on par response-wise and part value-wise as Classic Vibe Squire, which isn't the best, but seems like it'll be okay. Pots, no problem there. Doesn't feel loose or anything like that. This one, whoa! You see that? That's terrible. And this feels like it was just gonna kind of keep spinning there. I could keep pushing that if I wanted to. That's not good. I'm gonna be interested to see when I plug this in how that pot functions, or if it's really noisy if it does function. Best way I can describe this is the actual nut that's holding the potentiometer in is tightened. It looks like it might not have been the case. However, it's just the actual potentiometer itself. There's so much play in there. That's not ideal. Oop, not a good start. Alright, looking at the body itself now, this is going to be hard to see, but there's little divots, like the guitar was dropped almost. 1, 2, 3 of them right there. That kind of sucks. And there's some light surface scratching. It's a really dark and pretty veneer on this flame purple, so it's gonna be hard to tell with the camera, but in person it's really obvious. There's a lot of surface scratching kind of going in like this direction. That starts around here and yeah, it goes until about there. Same thing, a lot of light scratching. Obviously these fingerprints, I don't know how you're gonna see them. They're from me just now kind of maneuvering the guitar, but there is a lot more kind of like little scratches and little dings all on this guitar, way more than I would have anticipated. Alright, on to the neck. Let's see how noisy these guys are. Pretty rough. Yeah. That's to be expected. The frets are kind of rough. But the fret edges, that's not bad. They're a little sharp on the first fret. Oh, that's not good. The first fret is where they're the most sharp. But when we go down the rest of them, they're not bad. And when you remember that this guitar is $120, it's definitely acceptable. I'm not sure what this wood is. It's definitely not rosewood. I would guess it's Jatoba, but I'm not certain. And when you look on the Amazon description, I don't even think it says. That's one thing I have an issue with a lot of these guitars. They don't tell you exactly what the parts are. Obviously horribly out of tune. The action on it is fairly low. We go to the top here, and what is that? The D string tuner? The D string tuner, it feels like it was like chipped out. It feels like there was metal to metal contact on that silver part, that inner cylinder, and that's just kind of removed. That's not a sticker or anything like that. That's just, wow, okay. Made in China, Grote and the serial number since 1989. Oh, what? Really rough there. That was like, it was almost like this part was skipped over in the sanding process. It's like shop level for high school. Wow, yeah. This whole portion, this side of the neck, it's not, down here is finished. Like, they did as much as they're gonna do down here, but once you get up to the top of the headstock, they just stopped trying to sand it, I guess. Wow. All right, that's interesting. The nut looks to be cut at an acceptable level. Yeah, not bad. That's definitely not a bone nut though. That is some sort of composite material. Oh, is that the D string? It is. Okay, so the string that had the issue on the back of it, here, I'm gonna show you an up close of it. You see that black markings on the back of the tuning peg? That string's tuner especially is very bad. Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, this one's just as bad. Real briefly here, we're gonna check the intonation. Okay, so the intonation is off, but it's not horrendous. All right, guys, now that we've taken a closer look at this, the first thing I gotta say is I totally understand that this is a $120 guitar, but it looks, feels, and kind of acts before plugging it in like a guitar in this price range. This is nowhere near as good build quality wise as the Harley Benton's or that LTD EC256 that I got used for, I think, $30 more than what I paid for this. But with that being said, let's plug it in and see what it sounds like. All right, I gotta love it with you guys. I cannot in good faith post a video of me playing this guitar for one reason, and it's actually not because the electronics don't work, despite the problem with the potentiometer and that extreme movement in it. The electronics work just fine. The problem is this guitar will not stay in tune past 1 or 2 chords. It just won't, no matter what I'm trying. I even put some Big Ben's nut sauce into the nut, nothing. These are the worst tuners I've ever used. I don't want to be too harsh here, I really don't, because I do understand that this is a $120 guitar. But if you were to consider buying one of these seriously, or if you were a beginner, I could see you quitting guitar pretty quickly if you purchased this, and it was this exact one, because the guitar will not stay in tune. And without that, what are you going to do? You're not going to tell a beginner to immediately replace the nut. The tuners, yeah, you could replace those. Not the end of the world with that, even for a novice. But replacing a nut, that's not something that a beginner is going to want to do, or really have the facilities in order to do correctly. And then you're going to have to factor in, you're going to bring that into a shop, and they're going to charge you the price of a setup at minimum to do it. You're looking at probably, depending on where you live in the country, $50 for $100 for everything installed and the guitar really set up. Still doesn't fix the other problems. I would absolutely be replacing, at the very least, these potentiometers. That's not good. That's not confidence inspiring. The guitar is really pretty. The neck is decent on it. I like the satiny finish. Like I said, it didn't feel like they finished sanding it at the top of the headstock, but your hand's never really there anyways, so I guess maybe they thought maybe no one would notice. Unfortunately for them, it was me that bought this guitar, and I intentionally bought it for the purposes of going over kind of all of it, and that's a pretty obvious flaw. Outside of that, the frets are decent on it. This neck is a chunky C. It's like a chunky modern C to it. It bends okay. The frets are a little rough. It's kind of like the Harley Benton in that sense. It's not bad, but it's not great either. The hardware I would also get rid of. I mean, there are more things that I would immediately want to replace than this guitar out of necessity than out of want than I feel comfortable with as to being able to confidently recommend purchasing this guitar either as a modification platform or especially for a beginner instrument. I would not recommend this guitar for somebody that's just getting into guitar. It might be something that would make them not want to carry on with the instrument, in my opinion, if they're all like this. But when I first sat down to play with the guitar, I did notice something I didn't notice standing up. Right there. It's like a chip of wood. That looks like it was taken out of it here. This is what you're gonna get for $120, guys. Gonna get to the point. I wouldn't recommend this. I would go for a Harley Benton, 100%, because you can get a Harley Benton. I think they're $90, and then you're gonna pay Tolman $40 to ship it. It's $10 more, I think. It's roughly $10 more, and there were nowhere near as many problems with this. But that's gonna wrap it up. I mean, I'm sorry if I come off as really harsh, you guys. I'm sure that there are decent ones of these that people have had. Maybe this is just a lemon, but I mean, when you factor in the price, you factor in how quickly you can get it. A lot of these things that are mass produced in these really budget-minded guitars, I'm not surprised that it does have the problems it have. It does have some positives, like I said, but for me, I would pass. If you like what I'm doing, leave me a like, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about these guitars, if you have ever had one, if you've had similar experiences. Otherwise, subscribe, or I will see you tomorrow for another guitar video. This really sucked all the energy out of me. I can't believe this. Take care, you guys.